family and welcome back to my daily readings for the arts. I have done 2 videos previous to this one. If you haven't seen them already, please feel free to go have a look. They are up there. I'll put them in a little thing up there. In my day 1 video I talk a little bit more about what these videos are and why I am doing them, but if you would like a little more information on the Acting for Others charity, I have put a link to their homepage down in my description, and also there is my donation page down there too, so please donate if you can, otherwise just have a watch, have a listen. Today I am actually reading something that my mum chose, and on that note, if anyone has any suggestions or things that they would like me to read, then please feel free to get in touch with me, tell me, and I will read them for you. Today I will be reading an extract from Instructions for a Heatwave by Maggie O'Farrell, and very well chosen for my mum, seeing as the weather is very hot at the moment. So I hope you enjoy. Highbury, London. The heat. Ugh, the heat. It wakes Greta up just after dawn, propelling her from the bed and down the stairs. It inhabits the house like a guest who has outstayed his welcome. It lies along corridors, it circles round the curtains, it lolls heavily on sofas and chairs. The air in the kitchen is like a solid entity, filling the space, pushing Greta down into the floor against the side of the table. Only she would choose to bake bread in such weather. Consider her now, yanking open the oven and grimacing at its scorching blast, and she pulls out the bread tin. She is in her nightdress, hair still wound onto curlers. She takes 2 steps backwards and tips the steaming loaf into the sink, the weight of it reminding her, as it always does, of a baby, a newborn, the packed, damp warmth of it. She has made soda bread 3 times a week for her entire married life. She is not about to let a little thing like a heatwave get in the way of that. Of course, living in London, it is impossible to get buttermilk. She has to do with a mixture of half milk and half yoghurt. A woman at Mass told her it worked, and it does up to a point, but it is never quite the same. At a clacking sound on the lino behind her, she says, "Is that you? Bread's ready." "It's going to be..." He begins, then stops. Greta waits for a moment before turning around. Robert is standing between the sink and the table, his large hands upturned as if he's holding a tea tray. He is staring at something. The tarnished chrome of the tap, perhaps? The runnels of the draining board? That rusting enamel pan? Everything around them is so familiar. It's impossible sometimes to tell what your eye has been trained upon. The way a person can no longer hear the individual notes of a known piece of music. "It's going to be a what?" she demands. He doesn't reply. She moves towards him and places a palm on his shoulder. "You're all right?" She has, of late, been finding herself reminded of his age, the sudden stoop of his back, the look of mild confusion on his face. "What?" He swings his head round to look at her, as if startled by her touch. "Yes," he nods. "Of course. I was just saying it's going to be another hot one today." He shuffles sideways, just as she'd known he would, towards the thermometer, which clings by a spit-moistened sucker to the outside of the window. It is the 3rd month of the drought. For 10 days now the heat is past 90 degrees Fahrenheit. There has been no rain, not for days, not for weeks, not for months. No clouds pass, slow and stately as ships, over the roofs of these houses. With a metal click, like that of a hammer tapping a nail, a black spot lands on the window as if pulled there by a magnetic force. Robert, still peering at the thermometer, flinches. The insect has a striated underside, 6 legs splaying outwards. Another appears at the other end of the window, then another, then another. Those buggers are back, he murmurs. Greta comes to see, jamming on her glasses. Together they peer at them, transfixed. Swarms of red-backed aphids have in the past week been passing over the city. They mass in trees, on car windscreens. They catch in the hair of children coming home from school. They find their way into the mouths of those crazy enough to cycle in this heat. Their feet adhere to the sun-creamed limbs of people lying in their back gardens. The aphids fling themselves from the window, their feet detaching at the same moment as if alerted by some secret signal, and they disappear into the azure sky. Greta and Robert straighten up, in unison, relieved. "That's them gone," he says. She sees him glance at the clock on the wall. 7:15. At precisely this time, for more than 30 years, he would leave the house. He would take his coat off, the peg on the door, pick up his bag, call goodbye to them all, shouting and squawking in the kitchen, and slam the door behind him. He always left at 6:45 on the proverbial dot. No matter what was happening, whether Michael Francis was refusing to get out of bed, or whether Aoife was kicking up a stink about God knows what, whether Monica was trying to take over the cooking of the bacon. Not his department at all. Never was. 6:45 and he was out the door. Gone. He seems to feel a twitching in his limbs, she's noticed. A kind of vestigial urge to set off, to get going, to be out in the world. Any minute now, she knows, he'll be off to the newsagents. With a hand on her bad hip, she pushes the chair out from the table with her foot, and Robert says, "I'll just go round the corner and get the paper." "Right you are," she says, without looking up. "See you in a bit." I hope you enjoyed that. Remember, I will be doing a video like this on every day of all of the remaining days of August. Remember your sun cream, stay hydrated, and goodbye.